A student at Naperville Central High School has received a sentence of probation and community service after a couple of years ago posting a racist Craigslist ad claiming to be offering an African-American classmate up as a slave, according to the ad. The boy was sentenced to 2 years probation, 100 hours of community service. He pleaded guilty on September 1st to 2 counts of felony hate crime and 1 count of misdemeanor orderly conduct. He's also going to be undergoing individual and family counseling as deemed necessary and submitting a sample of DNA to the state of Illinois. The DNA thing seems weird. I don't necessarily understand that. But anyway, what did he do? Well, back on November 14th, 2019, the then 14-year-old freshman took a photo of his classmate while at school and posted an ad on Craigslist with a photo of the individual. I don't even want to read the caption, even censored. We will put it up and you will see that it was explicit racial slur that was affiliated with the photo of another 14-year-old boy. The Naperville police found out about the ad, connected it to the boy 4 days later. And there's a statement from the mother who says they used to be friends, they are not anymore. This is the mother of the victim of this, says they're not anymore. Added that their friendship soured when the white student began teasing her son, quote, calling him dumb, making fun of his skin color, saying, shut up, slave. He didn't know, by the way, for days that the ad was up and found out as a result of the fact that he became the butt of jokes. Other students then came up to him and said things like, I'll buy you for $1. And this is 14-year-olds. This is what 14-year-olds are doing to each other, Gary.
The question is, who taught him that hate? And where did this country get to the point where young kids right now in 2021 would be talking about slavery and other black children in that way? I've got an 11-year-old daughter that's in middle school right now. And we've gone through all kinds of transitions this year. And something like that could truly negatively impact this kid for years to come. It could scar him in many ways. And you know, I grew up in South Louisiana, and my first experience with racism was around the time that I was 12 or 13 years old, when I went to a school with a bunch of rural white kids, and they took down the American flag to hang up the Confederate flag. And these are things that happened to me 20 years ago, right? And in every generation of this country, we seem to have things that center around race in such a negative way. And the question I always ask is, who taught them that? Because nobody taught me to feel that way towards people of another race. Nobody taught me to make jokes about the negative impacts of other people. You had to have heard that somewhere. And if you heard that somewhere, that's not just in one household. This isn't an isolated event. This is a symptom. This is what we see as a clear symptom of all of our problems of race in this country that are trickling out into classrooms in this country, because we've had incident after incident where things similar to this have happened. Kids coming and hanging Trump flags at schools after Trump lost the election. Kids coming and wearing Confederate emblems to make sure that they intimidate people. All types of things like this. And it, to me, is a reflection of America that we don't want to be honest about. You know, after President Obama, everybody wanted to be in this post-racial society. And then the backlash was President Trump. And we saw everything that came from that. And the question I have is, when are we going to wake up and recognize that this country has deep issues with race that are not going away, and that there have to be greater consequences for people who do things that are like this, because it's wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like particularly in the schools. Like I feel like we can't go a day without some horrible story about sometimes students, often teachers, doing something horrible. Like last week we had an art teacher who had a taped conversation with his classroom about why he couldn't say the N-word. It's like a grown adult who's never had, he doesn't understand. He wants to for some reason. He really wants to say it. Doesn't understand why he shouldn't. It was defended by the school. We had another one. I don't even remember what it was. There's so many at this point. The pre-show this morning was a teacher in, I think, Riverside, California, who had dressed up in Native American garb and was running around the classroom, war whooping and chopping with a tomahawk. But the problem is, in this country, it's the woke. It's people who care too much about this. It's people who acknowledge racism. It's the supposed curriculum of critical race theory that we're all being taught. That's the problem. But like, you're totally, that's sarcastic. But as you're right, like, we need to understand this and we need to acknowledge it for there to be any growth. But we have at least one half of the country who insists that not only is it not a huge problem, it doesn't exist. It never existed. It was never a problem in anything. And somehow they can do this despite all these stories.
You know the thing that is so egregious to me, like, in this country, many in white America will tell us about Christopher Columbus like he discovered a country or a place where a continent where people already were, right? And that's okay. But when you tell the truth about the racist history of this country and the things that people have done to people, you don't want to talk about it. And then when people say, hey, not only have you done these things, right now that's offensive, you don't want to be told that either. And the real harsh truth is, there are people in white America who don't want you to tell them a damn thing about their racism and their bigotry because they believe that they can do anything in this country. And the truth is that the reason we got Trump is the backlash of the browning of America. And eventually, there will be a day where you will not be the majority in the numbers and in the voting blocks and all of these things. And we're gonna fix these problems, and our children are gonna be able to go to school and be treated with decency and dignity. And we're gonna ensure that because we're gonna continue to create these beautiful children that other kids are picking on.
Yeah, I hope that you're right, and I hope it's as soon as possible, especially considering some of these issues, like, we can't just wait. Like, it can't be, in 20 years, like, oh good, now we'll do climate change. Like, we need to get to this soon. And yeah, you're totally right. It is just that we are a country that cannot have a mirror held up to us. We can't stand it. We can't understand our history. And yet we tell ourselves that we're gonna be on Truth Social. We're gonna be posting our truths. I care about truth. I just wanna know what's really going on. Don't tell me what's going on. I don't wanna know, but I'm gonna post truths.
We understand our history well, John, and that's why they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't understand so many people. I don't understand why you're so scared of understanding the world. Like, I don't understand it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.